I get lost inside his house. Love, I will find peace.
Isn't life. Ali, hello, hello, Rutifiers. So, I'm going live to announce that I'm going live half an hour from now. Real meta stuff, I know. It's really important because, Corona crisis, you've heard about it, I guess, no matter where on this planet you are. The thing is that you, as a great follower of the podcast of Rootify, of the Parse Air, how it's called lately, you have listened to us on Spotify and Apple Music. Hello to everyone waving. This is only supposed to be short, so stop waving at me. And tune in half an hour from now, where we're going to present you Connie Hoppe. Cornelia is a startup consultant in Berlin. She has worked for N26, Airbnb, and so many more. And we will interview her live. So the cool format that you know already from our podcast series, which is on Rootify every month. Well, it's the end of the month, so it's a new podcast. And it will happen here on Instagram Live. So tell your friends, get ready, get some snacks, get some drinks. We know it's Corona time. We don't have any shit to do, right? So get ready for it, spread the word. And this is the last time that we're going to do this on my personal profile. Why is this the case? Because, well, more of you guys are on this profile. I know it's so hard to click on Rootify and click follow. But please, please, please do this for the next time, because we will have another interview with a very, very great VC called Xavier Saras, which will join us on Friday, on the 1st of May. So you'll have 2 interviews this week. So make sure that you use this half an hour to get some snacks, get ready, get some questions, because we might add some live questions in our interview. And also, thirdly, to go on the rootify.me Instagram page. Press follow, press get notified, so that you don't miss the next interview next Friday, which will happen there. Alrighty, see you in 25 minutes.
A few moments later.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much that you're joining on this Monday. And our guest is already here. Before I let her in, thanks for tuning in to everyone. As we said, there is a special happening today. We're all in a special moment right now around the globe. So we thought innovation shouldn't stop here. It should get started. So we can't have any better guest for this very first special podcast edition from the Rootify podcast, featured by Parse Air on Instagram Live. So without any further ado, I would like to invite our guests. Let's see if all right. Hello, Connie.
Hello. Hi.
Nice to see you.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. And it's really great. I was about to start introducing you, but you were just as responsible and on time. So just enjoy me giving props to you for a moment, because not everybody of our global audience might know what honor we have here with our first live interview that you joined. Yes, because Connie has worked at so many cool places before she started up the coolest place herself. She worked at N26, WeWork, oh my God, the list is endless, Airbnb. You worked with all of these great startups that we know around the world until around 6 years ago, you decided to make something great yourself. So that's really cool. I want to dive into that. And before we dive into the official interview part, for the audience to get a feel, actually, me and you, we chatted like, I don't know, 5 a.m. in the morning today, or like really, really early. And now we're here at 6 p.m. having this thing, and both of us probably having the crazy usual day, which never is usual somehow, especially not in these days. So again, chapeau that you're taking this hour of your time and you're here. So the one question correlating with this introduction that we always ask everyone we have on this show is, why do you stand up in the morning? It's like, especially if we realize that you have late shifts and then you wake up early as well. So I think the core question of this is, obviously, on a more serious note, is what's your key motivation? What drives you, Connie?
Yeah, kind of everything. Ne? So first of all, thanks a lot for the introduction. And I really have to say, I've never done any Instagram interview. I'm not the Instagrammer, so also kind of new to me. So just that everybody knows it. So what drives me in the morning is kind of everything. I mean, really the thing is, there are so many interesting things happening, and I'm getting to know so many new people and so many things I just want to read. I still have already 5 books parallel I'm reading. Yeah, so then I'm getting introduced every day to everybody or anybody new. So that's so interesting every time. And I'm like, okay, how could I not get up? So it's kind of, I don't want to go to sleep. It's rather kind of, okay, I have to do this. And I know also how healthy it is. I've also worked for Casper, yeah, so I know how healthy sleep is. But on the other hand, I'm also very, very curious what's happening the next day.
That's so amazing. I feel you so much. I mean, the difference between me and you is though, but you have been doing this for so many years now. I mean, I'm kind of like new to this. I mean, early stage startup, so it still feels like I started yesterday. But as I mentioned, you have already experienced several stages in your career, and you still have this drive. And I think, especially in these times, this is why we are doing this on live as well. For you to know, it's the first time for me as well.
Ah,
So I think I'm not the best millennial. I'm not even on Snapchat, but I admit that I've started with TikTok because I knew always that China is coming, and so now we got Chinese social media, so I don't want to miss that. But feel totally free. It's a global Routify family here, so and for those who are also new to this format, a little organizational thing. This podcast will be available later on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everywhere where you usually get them. Simply put Routify Podcast. But if you're following on Instagram, you're with us live, which is way cooler, obviously. So that's the additional thing we're doing here now together, Connie. And so the question that I have, okay, if you have the drive, that's great. Similar to you, I always want to like soak in information, and I feel like I don't want to miss out on life. So sleep faster, as Arnold Schwarzenegger said. It's like, yeah, we all need sleep, but just sleep faster. And as you say, it has a lot of health things. We shouldn't undermine this issue that our brain needs sleep and everything with that. However, was it always clear for you that you would start an entrepreneurial journey? Because I think we have, I think we have many people listening that maybe didn't start up yet and are contemplating about it. And especially for you that has worked with some of the, let's say, companies that people feel attracted to, for you to take the step out of that world and to say, okay, I want to start my own baby now, around 6 years ago. How was that process?
so I really have to say, until 2010, I did not even know that there is anything around entrepreneurship, and there was already 5 years working. Yeah, so I really had no clue. For me, it was always a secret how somebody could start a company, or how companies are evolving or even starting or something like that, because I'm also coming from a family, my parents are musicians, so completely another thing. So really had no clue about. And I came then across when I worked at Lidl, first time with the startup scene, and then I've moved to Berlin due to private reasons, and then I've got anyhow introduced there, and then of course I've seen a lot of entrepreneurship there, and then also a lot of things I could do better, or I thought I could do better, and that's why then I've started it. So it was pretty easy, kind of, and it was just the right moment, and there was not so much thinking about or analyzing or whatever. It was kind of, oh, do it, and then I've done it.
Great.
It was really pretty easy.
I'm sure it wasn't that easy after all, but as I agree that starting is like the most difficult thing at most times. You know, people don't know how to get started, and you just got started, and I think that's really the key, right? It's if we look at the past interviews that we had, if you want to find one denominator of every established entrepreneur, it's really that they at some point they didn't give a fuck. If I may say, it's live, I can say stuff like that. Nobody can censor me. Maybe it disappears from Instagram later. I know, but first thing is that, and the second thing is, as you said, it's kind of a frustration we have as users or employees ourselves, right? You find something where you think this could be better, or I could do this better, and then you are driven to change it. I think these two things,
Ah,
right?
Yeah, and also I also think if you're always complaining, and I'm the first one who has always criticism and all of these things, yeah, then you cannot always criticize and then not doing anything. Yeah, if you're saying A, you also have to do B. This is also a philosophy of mine, so I guess that's really, really important that you are then not simply saying, okay, I criticize everything and anybody else should change it. If I'm not changing it, I mean, who else should do it? So that's pretty simple.
That's great. That's really great. I think, especially in those times we're facing now, it's a thing that it's easy to just, complain and think like, well, why does this happen to me right now? And oh, I couldn't have seen it coming. Now everything is gone, or my plans are wasted. And I think it's exactly that. If you complain about the situation, then how about like focusing on what you can change, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that's what drives us at Rootify as well. We're like, people have time now. And before we all start watching Netflix, we decided to make like the Netflix of languages, right? Where you say like, just have some edutainment and use this time for personal growth. Because instead of saying, oh my God, what should I do? I'm at home. I'm so bored. I don't want to simplify thing. Everybody is affected differently, but one thing you definitely can do is to decide what you are consuming, be it media, be it the news that you're consuming, being critical also about your news outlets. Are you listening to an entrepreneurial station, or where they're like, there's this startup doing this, you can join them there, you can do something here? Or is it just like the German national TV 8:15 telling you it's still shitty, I mean, that's I think we select where we put our focus. I think that's a really good advice we can take here from you. And then a third question, it's like, it's awesome. I always have the same question patterns, but the answers are so different. So I also want to ask you, where we have changed lately our format into something like kind of fuck up nights. That's the last time I say the F words. I swear this has to be LinkedInable. So let's say fail nights, where people don't go to say like, I'm on this big stage now, I'm going to tell you how great I am, but showing the human part, the vulnerable part. So what were things in your career or as an entrepreneur where you really had downturns, or where you think maybe I would have done that differently now? And yeah, how did you cope with those situations?
Tja, I mean, the worst thing, if you're finding out that you're maybe a good entrepreneur and you have great ideas and everything, but you're not a good teacher, not a good leader, this is your situation which is not that comfortable. But this is something I definitely came across. Yeah, I guess I have a very own style to lead, and I guess you have to either love it or you hate it. Because it's very, very direct, yeah, and I guess I also needed to learn it kind of the hard way, yeah, that you cannot kind of, yeah, expect everything you're expecting from yourself, also from others, yeah, this is simply not happening. And again, if you are coming across this, that you're really not the best leader, and anyhow, but thank God, yeah, and there's nevertheless also following, yeah, so the employees are following, which is great. Hello.
Technical difficulties, I'm still with you.
But I'm definitely not the best leader, and this is something where I'm still definitely failing, but that's why I have also good leaders now in my team. And I'm also not the one who is leading in big corporate companies, absolutely not. Yeah, so this is also a bit not this theory you have every time. Yeah, because I'm really rather this, okay, put the fish on the table and speak very direct and all of these things. And I mean, it depends on where you get socialized, whether you like it or whether you like it not. Yeah, and also how you're coping with it, whether you're saying, okay, this is a personal attack, or I'm taking this as a chance and I'm learning out of this, and it's not a personal attack, and I can distinguish between this is business and this is personal life, yeah, or private life. But of course, I mean, everybody is different, yeah, and of course it's also the sender whose issue it is, how it comes across, and not the issue of the receiver. So yeah, and this is something I'm still learning and I'm still on it. But again, if you're building something up, or a team is getting bigger, and then you're coming across, Okay, leading is really more than one job. Yeah, you have different jobs. Then it's kind of, and I mean, leading is also teaching, and teaching I'm really not the best at, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for sharing this very vulnerably, because I think that's what makes great leaders as well. You know, of course, if you're on a stage, you have to pitch, you have to perform like you know everything. But I think the main reason why potentially successful startups fail in the end is that you might not focus too much on the human component. And the human component most often is like soft skills, where I feel they're not that soft after all, right? It's like those soft skills give you the hard profits in the long term, because if you don't know how to manage your team, you can grow, but then it will collapse because you just couldn't cope with this growth. We're having something similar here. We have grown from a one-man show of mine last year to 12 people now. And I've read so much about leadership where I was like, that's eye-opening. How was I a leader without knowing these things before? And I'm happy I've learned these things. And as you say, it's a constant process of failure, learning. How did you learn these things? I mean, you said you learned it on the hard way for once, but also, is there maybe some books, some courses, or maybe some key person in your career that helped you accelerate those learning curves?
Yes, yes and no. So I'm not the one who is listening too much onto others and how the majority is doing this and whatever, because also the majority can be wrong. Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, there are some people out there who I totally admire. Yeah, so it starts with Barack Obama, for example, and I guess how he's leading, how he's expressing himself, etc. I mean, this is then completely high end, yeah, but this is something I guess where everybody definitely could learn something from. And I've also always hired a very heterogeneous team, so where the people are absolutely different, yeah, and there are also some more introverted and some more spiritual and some more people who are a bit more calm and all of these things, yeah. And thank God they always also came up and said, Cornelia, don't you think it was a bit too much? I guess you definitely have to apologize, yeah. And I was also recently speaking about apologizing, yeah, that it's more than only a kind of, yeah, sorry, yeah, don't take it too personally or something like that. Yeah, it really apologize. I mean, you can do something wrong, absolutely, but you need to have also the courage to apologize. And I mean, I've also done already some, yeah, some bad decisions or also wrong decisions, where also some of my team members, and also in the meantime, I really call them also friends, stepped in and said, Cornelia, please leave it with us, because that's not the right decision you're taking. You're overseeing something, yeah, and you do not see it really right. And they've seen it from their perspective, which was of course great, and that's why I'm very, very grateful for this, and where I've also learned a lot. So this is also my recommendation, yeah, if you are only hiring yourself in 10 versions, I guess it doesn't bring you too much, but if you're hiring really persons who have also another opinion, but where you have kind of the same baseline, that really helps. And another thing is, by the way, I mean, there's also a differentiation between entrepreneur and also manager. No? So that's why I have now also two ladies with me who are managing my company, because they can cope with me, and they also understand if I have 1,000 ideas and go into this direction, and tomorrow this direction. I mean, you cannot lead a team with this mindset, yeah, and you have to filter it much, much more. And yeah, I guess also managers are doing this completely in another way than entrepreneurs. And despite I'm not the hardcore entrepreneur, absolutely not, but I've just experienced it also a lot that, yeah, there's definitely a difference between an entrepreneur and a manager.
Thanks so much for sharing this, Connie. I think in this format, what we are doing here now, going live, we're doing something that social media really needs, and that's being more transparent, because we have done those podcasts in the past, and obviously you always have some time for editing, cutting, and whatsoever. And at the end, you have such a large conversation that you shrink down to the compressed knowledge. And I feel, again, talking about human component, you lose a lot with that. So I think it's really cool that we're just talking in this manner. And I remember so many times where I was like talking to the person that was interviewed, and then we put the camera on. We're like, shit, why did we just film the past 15 minutes of just talking? Because that was already so powerful. So it's really cool. And I remember from our past conversation that we had, you mentioned this employee of yours where you first thought like, maybe we won't get best friends. You were even thinking about, not having her in the company anymore. And then now you say she's one of the most loyal and one of the best people in your company now. I think that was something that I really thought, too bad we don't have this on film. So now we have this on film because I really thought about it a lot. I feel I have this very often because obviously I grow into a leadership position, which I never studied to be. I also don't think my studies help too much with what I'm doing right now. But especially I feel that component, I feel like, okay, it's a difference leading one person to 5 to more than 10 and then going above 100. As you say, you need leaders, but you also need managers at that point. So I realize that very often, especially hiring tech people, there's a stigma around it. I don't even want to say there's tech people, but the same stigma goes from them to us biz people. So, so I realized that was really difficult for me. Often I didn't like click with the people that might be the best assets for our team now at the beginning. And when you said that, I was just affirmed that, as you say, you shouldn't just like clone yourself 10 times, but rather go out and be challenged within your team so that the outside challenges just become easier, right? So
Absolutely.
is there anything, because it's amazing if you have a good conversation. We already are passing our 20 minutes podcast, Panson, but we don't have a strict timeline. We are in a new format now, so I want to have sort of an open question. Is there anything you would like to share for aspiring entrepreneurs? Because you're also a startup consultant, so maybe from your work, maybe from your experiences, what's the best thing you can tell someone to get their idea into reality? What would you like to share with everybody listening?
Yeah, in my opinion, lots of people are then kind of, oh, I cannot share it. I just want to do this with myself. Yeah. And I'm thinking, or I know what the majority of the people are thinking, and I have here the one idea. And I'm deeply convinced that this idea was born already, and that it's anywhere in the world already, maybe also live. And if it's not live, it's really because of this that people are not starting, because they are then coming across that even the simplest idea, is usually the best idea, but it takes lots of efforts to really bring it into a format that others can also experience this. So you are not the only one who have this idea. And despite, I also believe that everybody is really completely unique, the ideas usually are not. Yeah. So I really have to say it like this. But to bring it live and to make it an experience for the people, this is then of course unique. And this is something, this hurdle you need to overcome and really start. And then of course it's not done within 1 second. You need to tell it to people, and then you're getting challenged, and then somebody is asking, so why do you not do it like this, but like this, but I don't like that, and whatever. So you're getting challenged all the time, and it's not defending then, and also not kind of, okay, then I let it be, yeah, so then I'm closing it down. It's rather than kind of, okay, how can I look also from different angles onto things, yeah. And again, of course, you need to have also lots of self-confidence to go through this, yeah, because of course there are not always people outside who are saying, yes, great, yeah. I guess some are kind of, damn, why did I not have this idea, yeah. And of course I'm not talking about my own business, I'm talking about lots of other great businesses we have out there. But I mean, yeah, bring it live, but also know what the effort is you have to bring in, you have to put in.
That's very powerful. I think combined with your first advice that that you really should just go out there and try things, get started with things. I think another thing, apart from, as you said, maybe thinking, oh my God, don't steal my idea, it's so unique. I think the next thing is really, I feel it for myself. I always refer to Rootify as my brainchild. You know that feel. It's like a baby, and nobody wants to hear that you have an ugly baby, right? And apart from that, it's very cruel for people to say that. And usually people don't. Usually people don't, as you said in your advice before, it's not a personal insult towards you or your baby. It's rather somebody is criticizing you, and you should just see that as a gift, what it is, that you can help your baby to walk quicker or get to running. And I think that's really crucial, and it's very well aligned with another thing that we said off camera that I hope is fine to share, that stick with me when you said people don't just wake up and are like, okay, today I'm gonna ruin Connie's day. I really like that thought. It's
Sorry,
like,
I didn't get it because it was just frozen exactly this second.
that's the that's the lag. We're doing a commercial break right now, and then you
Okay.
can tune in. Oh, commercial. Download the app. No, just kidding. Uh, somebody's asking when you can download the app. Just answering this real quick. You can just go on routify.me and you will get a pop-up. And hopefully in fall this year, you will be on all the app stores you wish for. But until then, let's listen to Connie. Thanks for asking, though. And by the way, everybody who has questions right away live, as I said, Connie, I'm also doing the first time, but I think if somebody is popping up, we will just take them in if that's okay for you. But if not, for now, I wanted to say the thing you didn't hear, maybe the listeners also didn't hear, which was, it stick with me what you said off camera, which is nobody just wakes up to say, I'm gonna mess with Connie's day today, right? It's not like somebody just wakes up and is like, how about I really ruined this person's life. We all wake up the same way. We all go to sleep the same way. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo may have some luxurious dorm room or whatsoever, but at the end, we all have physiological needs and we all fulfill them, and we all start our day, usually not contemplating about how we ruin someone else's day. So I think that's really a very simple thought, but if one reflects on it, as you say, the best things are simple. It's about the execution. So I think that helped me when I wake up. And I know, for example, when I woke up, we have our interview at 6, but until then there's so many other things which is also that's important and that I'm looking forward to. And then it's like we're like, okay, we're doing this the first time, but then we're like, man, everybody started at some point, and probably none of us has the intention to do nothing else than good. I mean, why? And this leads maybe to a good wrap-up question as well. It's like, what is your really key motivation? So you talked about what gets you up in the morning, your curiosity, you want to keep growing. What if we want to go a little bit deeper? It's like most of us know by now probably that money can't be everything. There are psychological studies until a certain extent it increases your happiness, and then it's just like marginal increases, so it doesn't really affect your actual happiness. So what is it for you that if you look back on your life, let's say 80 years of now with your energy, if you look back, what is it that you would say that was a life worth lived? What is like your compass in all the decisions you make, business and personally?
Yeah, I guess everybody knows it. Who is working closely with me is that I'm definitely not doing it for the money, or at least, yes, I'm doing this for the money for now. To have enough money and to start a foundation for children who are getting misused at home. And I think we have enough houses for women, and where they can go to, but I'm really not sure why this is not been built already for children where they can go to. And I guess children have too less lobby, not only in Germany, but everywhere else in the world as well. Yeah, so I guess also lots of people who are saving the animals, they're totally fine. Yeah, I'm completely with them. But that all of these groups have, who are saving animals, have more supporters than the ones who are saving children is for me still not 100% clear, despite I also like animals. But again, this lobby for children is for me one of the most important thingies, and so that I'm independent and can start it independently. This is for me where I will shift everything, and what I'm definitely working towards too, really since the beginning of my career, and where I always was searching for, okay, how can I make anyhow more money to really start exactly this foundation, that we can build houses, that we can have the best lawyers to fight against all this misuse, and also to fight for many more rights for children. I know this is maybe a very, very big dream, and it sounds too big, but I guess we have to start at some stage and not kind of to hide and we don't see it and all of these things. So because every think that children deserve it that much.
That's so great. I mean, I don't think there's anything too big actually that's on this planet. You have proven it in the past with things that probably seemed big then, and you made it happen. So I think it's really cool. What I always feel is interesting is like, depending on your worldview, you could see that there are so many problems out there, but actually, as entrepreneurs, you see them as opportunities, right? There's opportunities to improve things, and there always will be. And it's just interesting that on what we focus, because I mean, I have been confronted with the same kind of ambivalence that you have been faced with. That, as you said in a sentence, it was like, I also love animals, right? That's like, if you say we need support for children, then why is everybody focused on animals? Then what you get is like, hey, don't you like animals? And I feel it's the same thing with when I said, you know, you probably know the UN SDG, if somebody doesn't know, the Sustainability Development Goals by United Nations. We want to have them achieved by 2030. It's not long anymore. You know, when they started, it seemed long away. It's just a decade away. And so when I started up Rootify, was also we want to address UN SDG 4 and 10, reducing inequality and having quality education for all. So I think the language barrier is really a crucial factor for both of this goal.
Yeah.
And often, for example, when I had the honor to speak at the UN about this matter, it was most advocates spoke there for promoting, for example, environmental issues, or I don't know, some war regions in Africa where you think, of course, all of this is super important, but I feel it's the 9th time we hear about plastic. And we didn't even hear one thing about, you know, missing integration everywhere, not just a European issue, everywhere where you have cultures meeting each other. So I think it's the same thing. You just have to kind of, what the UN gives you a portfolio of opportunities. That's how I see it. It's kind of like, here you go. These are the issues. Take one of them. They're all important. And you took one of them, which doesn't have many advocates. And I think that's a really great thing to do. And then we have a lifetime to work on it. And I think we know, actually, as you said, it's thinking big. I think we acknowledge that we cannot do it in a lifetime. It's like, you can dedicate all your life to it. Usually you can't. As you say, you work, you earn money, then you get the time. That's like the vicious circle people put themselves in. You manage to get out of it a little bit more than people maybe that are still working somewhere that's not their own, or that they don't feel passionate about. But still we feel the restriction of, we need to sustain ourselves first. We need to be profitable, and then we can, and that's the thing. But I think one lifetime, if we dedicate it, what's important really, that we have one voice. We as a person have one strong voice for one specific issue. And then people, maybe your employees or other people that you inspired, maybe somebody to just listen to this interview of yours that is like, oh my God, she's so right. And for those people, maybe you could share with us, how could they contact you the best way? So you said Instagram is not, you're not many times on Instagram. Me neither, as I said, I'm a very bad millennial. So where can people contact you if they maybe want to join your vision, or maybe want to know more about Done, your company in Berlin? What's the best way to reach you, Connie?
Yeah, in best case, via LinkedIn, they are very active, or you just write me via email, cornelia@doneberlin.com, and that's it. Yeah, so that's pretty easy. My first name and then doneberlin.com.
All right.
There I'm usually also trying to answer everything I can.
That's great. We will definitely, we will share this video obviously later on our social media channels, including LinkedIn. Then we will simply tag your name there so people can find you. Yeah. For those of them who were here already, congratulations. You're real pioneers. You were with us here on our first timer. I think it was great. Thank you so much, Connie, for doing this with us.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Yes, all the best. See you soon live, hopefully.
Thanks
See you,
a lot.
Love, I get lost inside his house. Love, I will find peace.